Hi, I'm John Lawrence. I'm going to paint some Gadwalls today, and I thought I might let you watch. This is my Toronto Slick Gadwall. If you've been reading my webpage, this is what I've been doing. This started life as a old goose cutout that a friend named Bill Cordry from New Jersey gave me at Westlake in 2011. Didn't work for me that way, and I like Gadwall, so I made it. Where we're at so far is that I have 2 coats of shellac, Zinsser seal coat to seal it, 1 coat of Deft lacquer, 2 coats of Behr oil-based house primer that I blocked into colors, and I've already painted the rump. If you saw the pictures that I posted on the July thread on duck boats, you will notice that the tertials are a little different. When I came home from work yesterday, I didn't like them, so I repainted them, and that's where we're going to be. And what we're going to do this morning is do the scratch coat on the back to represent the white vermiculations that you see on a Gadwall. And this is very different for me because I like a lot more detail on my birds, but I'm just going to make this one for my own hunting rig this fall. So I'm keeping it kind of simple, and I'm keeping more abstract geometric forms in it. This is the other bird that I've been working on at the time, and I've shown you pictures on the internet of it. This is more typical of my style, with exposed wings and very broad shoulders, carved tail, more detail. So this is more typical of what I do, but this is something I'm doing for myself for fun. So give me a second here to get ready, and we'll get going on that painting. Okay, here's what we're going to use today to do this technique. Of course, you know about the Decoy. This is a Tom Pellis palette that he made for me. He's a really good buddy of mine, lives in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, a little bit east of where I live. It works with a sheet, a roll of freezer paper. It's excellent. Being right-handed, I like to put my paint on the right side and my decoy on the left, and it keeps things organized. And then when I use up all my space, I just pull out a new sheet and discard. Okay, the paints I'm using today are Grumbacher pre-tested oils. I started with a good quantity of burnt umber, and then I added about 40% to 30%, around in that range. I'm not real technical when I get to my paint mixes, of French ultramarine blue, and it gave me a very nice dark brown, still tends to the warm side. So we're going to put those aside. I'm going to comb with these 2 metal combs to do the actual scratching. I'm going to find out which one works best as I start. And then I'm just going to use a wide filbert brush to apply it. And that's the only tools I'm going to use. I like to keep an old t-shirt on my lap because I rub a lot of paint off my brushes as I'm working. I work very thickly. That's an impasto style that I've written about a lot. So it enables me to keep a good clean brush and without a lot of mess on my hands. And we're going to get going. So I'm just going to load the brush with a fair amount of paint. You can see the outline that I'm going to do. And again, being right-handed, I'm going to work the right side of the bird that's in my left hand and then move over to this next. Now this is going to be, if you're going to say, well, that's a Gadwall, it should be lighter there. It will be in coming days. What my plan is once I've established my vermiculation off this and I get it to a level that I'm happy with, I'm going to let this bird rest for a couple days. I've got many more. They're all behind you right now. But I've got many more to work on. And I'm just going to let this rest, and at which point I'll start doing overglazes. And if you've read all I've written about overglazes, what they are is just different colors of oil paint that I've thinned with the mediums that I use to get a nice, really an ink consistency, so that I can manipulate those very thin applications. And I might do, if I'm doing a wood duck, I might do 12, 14, 15 applications over the course of a couple weeks. I work on 14 or 15 or 16 different birds at once. So I don't get stuck doing that, and that where I get tired of working on one thing. If I don't feel like painting today, I make another decoy, I carve it. Or I work on a head, or I do such things like that. Alright, I'm just putting a nice thick application of oil paint. So we're going to do the one side, we're going to do that scapular group and down into the cape. I'll probably leave the cape till last. I'm going to start with the wider brush and see how this works for me. And what this is a nice metal comb, and I'm just going to start scratching in a of vermiculation. This is very typical of how they did it, and I'm going to wipe. Very typical of how they did it in the Toronto style at the turn of the 19th into 20th centuries in the Toronto and Dunnville area of Ontario. It was also used a lot in Stratford, Connecticut style. So it's been established for a long time. I didn't invent it. I just like the way it looks on these more simple decoys. I'm not going to paint that other Gadwall that I showed you this way, but this is a lot of fun. And what I'm doing is, you see my hand disappear as each time I'm just wiping the excess paint. Now I like to paint very dark. I just feel that on a hunting decoy it looks better in the field than something that's very white. All I'm doing is waving that back and forth. And what's going to happen now is, between my hand and that head, I'm having difficulty getting into that space. So I'm going to switch to the smaller comb, which is going to be a little bit easier to manipulate. And that's fun, and that's easy, and I hope you can see some texture in there. That's that impasto style working. And that's your painting video for this July 2nd, 2011.